Welcome to today. We want to share something that is a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit touching on politics all over the world, especially also in Africa and in Uganda in particular. What if the greatest danger in a nation is not the power of the oppressor, but the silence of the ordinary person who convinces himself that oppression is none of his business? Many of us, or many of Ugandans, convince themselves in this particular way that politics, oppression is none of his business until an oppressor decides to touch on his or her most sensitive part. Every society reaches a moment when people must choose whether they will stand with the vulnerable or hide behind comfortable excuses. Uganda stands at such a moment now, not because of politics, but because of humanity. History teaches us something uncomfortable. Oppression rarely begins with violence. It begins with indifference. The philosopher Hannah Arendt warned that the world does not collapse because of evil people. It collapses because of the many who choose neutrality when justice demands a voice. Consequently, we must reflect on what it truly means to stand firm. Standing firm does not require rioting, shouting, or taking sides. Instead, it demands moral clarity, the courage to see the oppressed as human beings rather than political categories. In addition, actually, a liberal theological understanding of human dignity reminds us that every person carries an intrinsic worth that no government, no ideology, and no election can grant or take away. And this is crucial, dignity demands defense. Human worth becomes meaningless if it is not protected when it is threatened. Therefore, to stand firm with the oppressed is to commit to the truth, even when truth is uncomfortable, to fairness, even when fairness is unpopular, and to peace, even when peace is not the loudest voice in the room. Moreover, standing firm means refusing to let fear silence you. Fear is the favorite weapon of every oppressor. It whispers, "Stay quiet, this is too big for you." It convinces you that injustice happening to your neighbor is irrelevant because at least it is not happening to you. This is actually the power. Silence is the power in the hands of an oppressor. However, oppression is contagious. What is tolerated in one village spreads to the next. What is ignored today becomes normal tomorrow. And before we know it, a whole society wakes up wondering how dignity disappeared without a single shot fired. At this point, it becomes necessary to challenge the idea that speaking about justice is automatically political. Justice is older than politics. Justice is deeper than election. Justice is simply the recognition that a human being does not lose value because someone more powerful says so. Similarly, standing with the oppressed does not mean fighting the powerful. It means refusing to surrender your conscience. It means saying, "I cannot change everything, but I refuse to be part of the silence that protects injustice." As a result, the smallest action becomes revolutionary. A voice that refuses to repeat propaganda, a mind that refuses to be manipulated, a heart that refuses to dehumanize others, a citizen who refuses to betray truth for convenience. Likewise, liberal philosophical thought insists that freedom is not truly freedom unless the most vulnerable person in a society can enjoy it. Election comes and go, but human dignity must remain constant. In the light of this, the role of an awakened citizen is not to fight for a candidate, but to fight for the soul of the nation, its conscience, its fairness, its moral backbone. Then again, standing firm also requires humility. The humility to admit that no single group has all the answers, and the humility to recognize that we are responsible not only for our votes, but for our silence, our attitude, and our choices. Eventually, when the dust of campaign settles, Uganda will still belong to the ordinary citizen, the farmer, the teacher, the student, the mother selling in the market, the border rider carrying dreams and struggles together. These are the people for whom justice matters the most. Ultimately, to stand firm with the oppressed is to affirm a simple truth. Every human being deserves to live without fear. No slogan is more powerful. No manifesto is more urgent. Finally, let this be our collective commitment. Not to fight each other, not to destroy each other, not to divide each other, but to protect each other. Because the measure of a nation's greatness is never how it treats the powerful, but always how it treats the powerless.